we can get to Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. And my God, James, there were two people that came on this show for months that were telling people, yo, a pack's going up. And it's coming from Georgia. It's coming from the Nightmare Factory. It's coming from the Rhodes. Cody Rhodes came out here and got his ass whooped in the main event. He came out here and got spiked in the neck by a man who had already been thrown from the match. He came out here and went in front of Cody Rhodes' child. They did an angle with this little kid in the middle of the main event where they take back the weight belt. This is just absolutely phenomenal. And you can look at the ring walks. All Cody Rhodes gets is walking his ass to the ring.
The thing that's different about a Verbo vacation home?
Roman Reigns, they're playing the pianos, treating him just like the grand champion and all this. And there's just this look and this feeling. I'm watching it, James, and I'm just like, this is like weird. They get to the match. I would probably go like, I don't know, 3 3/4, maybe 4 stars on the match. But that first half of it, brutal, absolutely brutal. Then they went into the finisher spam and, lots of kickouts and everything like that. But they ended up in the long run giving Cody Rhodes the same exact match layout as Sami Zayn, as Drew McIntyre, as Kevin Owens. He was no different than any of the others.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, this guy was from AEW. And there was no way in God's green earth that he was walking in there undefeated for a year and beating Roman Reigns. It was never, ever happening. I don't know who needs to hear this. A fucking wrestling war is going on. Perception. They were never, it was too clean. What was I saying last week? And people, I've seen people try to refute this and saying, hey, it's, what do you mean? He's been on WWE TV for 16 years. That's in the past. That's old. Cody Rhodes reset himself. Even though they played it nice. Like I said before, everybody was public facing like, yo, we're in this for the greatest terms. We're in this to, really promote him as our guy now, right? Yep. And they might end up doing it one day, maybe, right?
But that first, one day wasn't
first, Cody Rhodes was going to eat that pile of shit and do that job for Roman Reigns at the end of the day, like everybody else. He was going to be put in line, and the sad part is he should have gone over. And I'll tell you why he should have gone over. Obviously, there's nothing else to do with Roman Reigns at this point. They keep putting these more days and time on this title reign that no one gives a fuck about anymore. This, and praising him as this all-time legend who's just winning all these matches. Like he's Kenta Kobashi, James. They're treating him like he's Kazuchika Okada during his title reign when he's doing these copy and paste main events with tons of cheating. The House of Roman. I talked about it before.
Yeah. And that's the thing that's super frustrating about it is like they've always wanted him to be the guy. And they've now gotten to the point to where like they have turned him heel where he cheats. He has his cousins cheating at every single title defense to protect the belt, and walking in and walking out. The commentary is not matching the reality of what the situation is, which is this guy comes in, he has his match, and then everybody else helps him protect the belt, like as if he's Ric Flair, in the Horsemen, or if he's NWO and Hogan or whatever else. Any Evolution, Triple H, any heel operation, Jay White and Bullet Club, Evil and House of Torture, all that shit. Kagetsu Edo Tai, whatever you want to say, like all of that shit is the same thing. And then to have who is supposed, your commentator who during the match is literally rooting for Cody because of the cheating, but not acknowledging that Roman Reigns is like getting by, and that should be the heat, is that he's so fucking good that why is he stooping to this level, and how come no one has like stepped in to stop this from happening, or like said this person is banned, blah 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 blah. They don't do none of that. They just say it's an historic reign. He's up there with the Hogans and the San Martinos and the Pedro Moraleses and whoever else you want to throw in there.
And the crowd plays along with it, James. They all react to him that way.
Because the crowd is front running. Because they want to root for winners. The babyface are all losers.
They want to root for the laundry. And why would you want to be a babyface in WWE at this point? What is there for you to achieve? You can't.
That's what I'm getting at.
Look, you can't beat Walter, and then you can't beat Roman Reigns. What do you have?
You got Bianca. That's it.
If you're a man, sorry, brother. Like, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, absolute insanity. The way they did the cheating and all that, I was laughing. I thought it was hilarious that they did this. I'm no fan of Cody Rhodes, so I'm gonna switch between criticism for the company and how poorly booked and laid out this was, and talk about like what a trash fire it is that this guy that was popping house show numbers for you couldn't get it. Sami Zayn couldn't get it. That was doing the television numbers.
No. Not a guy that was popping house show numbers for you. The second guy that's done it for you.
Correct.
In a row. He's gone through two of them in a row.
It's like, what are we? It's like, what are we doing? What are we doing now?
You can't guarantee they'll ever have one again.
Dave Meltzer, are you asking where the baby faces are in WWE now? Let me know.
It was so interesting to see the YouTube clip he put up of talking about the match, and like you can see it finally dawned on him, all these matches that he's been giving these like absurd ratings to. They're like, oh yeah, they've been doing the same shit for half a year now. It finally dawned on him that like all these matches are wrestling third gear, and then his cousins come and do all this bullshit between kickouts and near falls and rough bumps. It's like, where have you been?
These people watched this man Cody Rhodes went and had his mom ringside, had his wife, had his baby, had somebody else's baby ringside. -1 is out here getting dragged into this. But eventually folks like Dave, they gonna have to look in the mirror and realize who made that decision. And it was that clown Paul Levesque that walked in the press conference. This time somehow people were not throwing roses at his feet like King Jaffe Joe when he walked in. Somehow this was not the case. He walked in and shouted to John Alba, who asked him basically in the nicest way possible, like, what made you go with that line? Like he basically was like, what'd you do this for? Amanda Huber posted it was a bad call. Triple H, I talked about it in January. There's a clip where it was like Vince McMahon's back, evaluate Triple H. And you look at all the culminations of all these stories. I don't know what the big Triple H story was going into this. When it comes to this particular match, he has the nerve to drop this line that says there is no end of the story. To me, if you're Cody Rhodes and your entire thing is built on finish the story, people were getting custom shoes made of this. This was his tagline. This was the tagline for the main event. Finish the story. You know what Triple H thought of that? Triple H thought, you broke my throne, motherfucker. Fuck your story. Here's my nuts on your story. Your entire ethos. Triple H took a gigantic shit on that. Why? Because at the end of the day, you are coming back from AEW in a wrestling war. This is like Ric Flair coming into WWE and imagining him beating Hulk Hogan for whatever reason. This was never, ever happening. And more people need to be called to the carpet on the wrestling knowledge that have these big podcasts, that have these lots of followers and these well-cultivated audiences and all this stuff, that are just literally giving the people bullshit and not seeing this for what it is. The ease that it was. This wasn't hard, James.
It was not hard at all. It's very simple. Like, and if you want, people will say, like, hey, was Vince involved in changing the finish, this, that, and the third? And obviously, Triple H has to, go out there in front of those people because they've been now doing these press conferences like it's, after takeovers or whatever else, media scrums, because, TK started doing it, Tony Khan started doing it, so he's like, I need to start doing this too because Vince would never do this, and, I got to, differentiate myself. And, like, I fully believe this was Triple H. You want to know why? Because we used to watch Triple H book NXT, and while he was booking great NXT, what did he do to Johnny Gargano? He kept having him chase and chase and chase until it was finally time to do it, and then the guy that was a champion had to go away to get neck surgery because he waited so fucking long, and then
the wheels fell off Gargano after that.
Block a year later. So yeah, man. Him spinning or trying to squeeze all the juice out. Whoa. He's known for this. This is MO. This is also a Vince thing, but Triple H also does this. So yeah, like regardless of what actually happened and whose decision actually was, we absolutely can't believe that Triple H was responsible for this in part. And this is what he would want to do because this is a part of his philosophy. This is a part of what he has put down on tape, if you will.
Cody Rhodes. I just don't know what to say. Part of me thinks this is very funny. It's hilarious. Look, I can imagine what. Actually, I don't have to imagine because so many of the AEW wrestlers were tweeting about WrestleMania as it was happening. Stop that. But those group chats, I can imagine what they look like. And I'm not saying that, hey, just because Cody Rhodes lost, this is going to actually end up discouraging people from going to WWE.
Money be green.
Like, right. Money be green. Exactly. But it does send something. When you go there, there's going to be a pile waiting for you somewhere. There's going to be a big loss. There's going to be an embarrassing day and a big setback for whatever you trying to do. And, maybe the grass, ain't greener. But
one thing I will say when it comes to Cody in regards to taking the big losses or whatever else, if he was in AEW, he'd be doing the same thing because he was never chosen. Like I think it's quite interesting. Regardless of whoever it is, right? Whether it was Vince McMahon initially, whether it was Gato and Jado and Kadani, whether it was Tony Khan, and whether it's Triple H last Vince McMahon again, he has been to all three major male wrestling promotions in the world, and they have all decided that dude is not a major world champion. They've all decided it, at least for now. Things have changed, obviously. The belts can be split up.
Like it's going to be less effective, obviously, because of this this obsession with Roman Reigns' title reign and his legacy and trying to establish this, right? Like,
but Rich, what about letting it play out? Like Triple H was more or less saying, he can get it back, right? He can get it all back. That's what they said about the last piles of bodies I've seen left in the wake.
So the problem with like people that are apt to believe that bullshit, this is like you're very hardcore WWE fan. They always think WWE is hot, so they'll have no concept of blowing something because it's like, oh, it'll pay off one day, right? But it's like, no, buddy, you missed the peak, and then it goes down and it goes away and it goes somewhere else. That's what happens more often than not, and they refuse to learn the lesson. We always talk about learning lessons on this show.
Yep.
A lot of the time, they give you the information that you will need one day to actually figure out what they're doing. And it's a process in different promotions, learning how it works. Like, we're still learning how AEW works to an extent. Like, I think there are some patterns that you can, kind of point out and, extend grace on. And then it's like, oh, they're done with this. Like, that stuff's still emerging. But WWE, this stuff, we learned this long ago. And if you haven't learned it by now, it's on you.
Yeah, that's well said.
And there's no one else. There's no one else now. Who are they going to throw at us, James?
Say again?
Who are they going to throw at us, James? Seth Rollins?
There'll always be somebody else that they'll prop up to be next. It's how it always is. And like, then the next time that's the thing about the let it play out thing is like, they're running on the logic that one, their top heel and their top babyface is Roman Reigns. He's just presented as a heel right now, so we're good either way. So it's all about finding the next person to prop up for him to then cheat to conquer, right? So once they find somebody they can move on from as a top hero, though, that can be the person at least even on a short-term basis to give Roman a break, for fuck's sake, while he's not full-time anymore. Like, they keep. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It keeps saying, like, they keep finding somebody that you could potentially, if you decide to invest whatever into it or whatever else, you can see where it takes you to find an alternative to Roman, or find something to move Roman out of the main event slot or the title scene or whatever else. And they keep getting themselves close, and they were like, "No, we can't do that because Roman is our answer." Like, the answer is always Roman. It's always going to be Roman, and until Roman doesn't want to do this shit no more, Roman gets broke up or whatever, as far as injury and age. Like, and that's the thing. Is like, this is what like started, or this is why there's like a lot of bitterness with Roman, including before the 4 years where it's like, he's overpushed, blah, 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 blah. Like, look, man, we're past that point. You can't overpush the dude that is the top guy in your promotion as far as popularity from a year-long perspective, right? Sure, Sammy has surpassed him in recent months or whatever else, or recent weeks or whatever else. Cody has done the same in recent weeks as well too. There ain't no guarantee that's gonna last forever. So that's why they keep doing it. But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what causes the perpetual thing. Is like, Roman's always been our guy, so we're continuing to be our guy. And then when someone gets close, we can say you push him and stand for a short-term basis to see where it goes. It's like, now we can't do that, because if that happens, then what happens to Roman? Because Roman is our cash cow. It's just always this over and over and over again. And it turns to a feedback loop. And I don't necessarily blame because Roman's doing a good job with his presentation. And like, he goes to these crowds and you say what you want to. He goes to them buildings, and them buildings are all this. And you got these white folks throwing this up. Right? And you see them out here, and they don't have a clue what they wearing. They throwing on that bloodline shit, and they fuck around living up in the wrong area in LA. So
somebody had to get robbed out there wearing some the bloodline shit.
I mean,
look, some of them ruling 60s had to find them somewhere. Like, somebody caught a lick. That's all I know.
Look, I just hope nobody left their bag. I just hope nobody was dumb enough to leave their bags or their valuables inside their car, because that shit got one of these, or that glass got shattered like the opening of the Austin theme, and whatever was in there was taken out.
All right, man. It's just such a bad decision in just tons of ways, and it's really expected. So One Nation Radio taught you.
Yeah. All right, so Cody Rhodes fans.